Welcome to the Global Gratitude Summit. I'm Luann Zaraga-Walters.
And I'm Sharon Zaraga-Walters.
And today we are spanning the United States, we being based in Florida, reaching out to some guests who are very well known along the West Coast. And it is the spirit of gratitude and appreciation for the abundance of life that is central to Matthew and Terces Engelhardt, and the motivating force behind their business and desire to create a work environment like no other. What began as a board game to introduce people to an unfamiliar view of being abundant, and we'll talk about what that is, evolved into Cafe Gratitude with locations throughout California and a sister cafe in Kansas City, and an additional restaurant with a similar outlook, which is aptly named Gracias Madre. The Engelhardts join us to talk about the business of gratitude and intentional transformation through gratitude. So welcome, Matthew and Terces. It's so honored to have you join us today. How's California?
Thank you. It's beautiful. We love fall. It's gorgeous there.
It's the best month for October.
Hard to believe.
We're going to send it off with a bang, and so thank you again for being with us. We'll start at the beginning.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And tell us a story. How did a board game evolve into Cafe Gratitude?
Sure. So we got together when our children were already left the nest, so to speak. So she has 3 children, I have 2. And so we looked at each other and said, what are we going to do with our lives? And what we got was, let's just live our lives from inner guidance, not from strategy, not from how do we get enough money for retirement, any of that. Just like, let's be obedient to inner guidance. And one of the first insight downloads we got was to invent a board game. And so we went with it. And we took a year. I'd sold a business, so we had some resources. And we took a year and literally with a blank piece of paper and some blank index cards and some dice, we started creating a board game, which really is a training in shifting our attention from human scarcity, not enough time, not enough money, not enough beauty, not enough fulfillment, not enough talent, to living in the moment where abundance exists.
And so how that became a restaurant is after a year, we had this board game and that we totally made up. And we decided we had 5,000 printed. So we were like, okay, now what are we gonna do with 5,000 board games? And so the next idea that came to us was create a cafe. Matthew loved coffee. I had a pastry background. It's San Francisco. Let's create a little cafe where people can come play the board game. It was really that innocent of a thought. And then we were in Hawaii and I picked up a book about living foods. And I was like, oh, wow, look at this. Let's try this. Like, we are already doing yoga. We're already vegetarian. Let's just try this. So for 30 days, we ate living foods. And then we decided, well, let's just make it a living food cafe. And that is how Cafe Gratitude started. It was a transformational board game where you could get live food. Kind of weird.
Transformational gaming parlor.
I like it.
Where is that ever going to work? Well, maybe San Francisco.
maybe. How about now 7 locations throughout Southern California, right? That's fantastic. You know, I want to back up just for a second to what you guys were talking about, which took a lot of intentional courage, but how can there be courage without intention, I guess. So how did you come to the point of saying, let's live in the abundance. Let's just live in the knowing of the abundance, because that's a big step. That's something that a lot of people would say, wow, I mean, you're not even going to have a backup plan. You're just going to go. I mean, that's pretty awesome. How did you, and to be with a partner who agrees with that mindset, which I feel lucky that I have that as well.
So we had a little almost like ceremony where we sat down with each other and said, this could fail. We acknowledged that this could fail, like a transformational gaming parlor could fail, and that we could actually blow our nest egg, our little nest egg on this, and we call it getting complete with failure, because if you're not complete with failure and the possibility of failure, you do desperate things. Like if you can't be with the end of a relationship, all of us know that we've done desperate things to keep a relationship going rather than just be, well, this might be over. And so you don't want to be coming from desperation, like you get so identified with this has to succeed. So we're like, this could fail. And when you're okay with the failure, you can really move forward intelligently and respond to however things unfold.
And we also knew that, so we were committed to, both of us were passionate about and really committed to transformation in the world. And we were also really committed to presencing love. And so, you know, this was our opportunity to make good on that.
That's great. I heard a little one just say, woof.
Yeah, there is a little dog here.
You built this board game around this passion, around this idea. So, and it took you, in spending a year, I'd love to know kind of the process behind that. How did the board game evolve? How did you actually say, well, how do you lead? And I guess the basis of this question is, how do you lead somebody into abundant thinking?
Okay, great. All right. So here's the thing, how it started. This is good because people who think they have to have it all together before they do some project, this will eliminate that thinking. So basically we got up every day. We had this blank piece of white canvas. We gathered things that represented a board game in our consciousness, right? And so we had like little pebbles, index cards, and then we would go, Matthew, it's your turn. What are you going to do? And he would make up something. And then he'd go, okay, Terces, it's your turn. What are you going to do? And I'd make up something. And we did that for a year. But now we knew that the context for the board game was a training in shifting our human scarcity conversation, which is everywhere. Not enough time, money, love, beauty, whatever, success. Shifting that attention to qualities of the divine, we say, or qualities that are in all of us, whether they're recognized or not. So we identified 5, which were creation, responsibility, self-worth.
I'll go through them for a second.
Okay, good.
So creation, responsibility, you have to get that you're creating your experience. If you think someone else or some other forces are creating your experience, you're going to be a slave to your outside circumstances. So the first one is, how do you be 100% responsible for your experience? And the next one is self-worth. You have to be worthy of receiving the gifts of the universe. If you're like, oh, I'm a lowly human being, then it's going to be very hard to receive, because you're so full of your own self-loathing that spirit can't fill you with anything else. And then the next one is love acceptance. You actually have to love and accept the world
and others
just the way they are and just the way they aren't. If you're making people wrong, or you're living in, without forgiveness, forget about it. And then the next one's gratitude. And then the next one is generosity.
Gratitude is like obviously being grateful, right? No matter what, whether you think you have enough or not.
Yeah, and then the next one's generosity, which is like your generosity, your abundance needs to live in the world, demonstrated in material. It just can't be internal. Like you have to make a sacrifice and give to others. And then the next one is gratitude,
generosity, abundance.
And the last one is abundance, which is that no matter what, you're provided for. Like being, there's being that you are provided for, and noticing all the places in life where you're provided for that you probably have fallen asleep to. Street cleaning, national park, hot water, garbage pickup. It's endless. Organic food, whatever the thing is. And so you have to notice that, or else you'll just fall asleep to, and your life becomes about survival.
So we knew that was what the board game was about. We knew we wanted to create a transformational board game. And so that was the context that we were inventing. What's this going to look like? And that's where the Abounding River came from. It's called the Abounding River board game. And
That's
it's
just,
really,
that's beautiful. It's okay. Number one, you two are definitely teachers. Number two, I love them together.
I know.
You guys are such a beautiful couple. And so I can see this had your intention, your love, your beauty, everything behind it. And then when you started to launch this, and Matthew, what did you call it? The transformational
Gaming parlor.
Transformational gaming parlor. I gotta write that down. I love that. And when you started to bring people into it, what happened there? Did it obviously you've had an explosion with how much
okay,
people
well,
love
wait,
it.
let me give you a little more background story and then tell you what happened. So remember, this also came through, so my history was sexual abuse and then an eating disorder. So I lived inside of anorexia and bulimia from 16 to 36. And so when we started this project, I was 54. Okay, so again, for all those people that think it's too late in life to start their project, it's not too late in life to start their project. And so for me, this was really kind of coming full circle, like coming back and offering something to people. Like we had this vision that people would be able to come into this cafe and they could come in with people who weren't necessarily committed to healthy food, but it would be amazing and delicious. And they could have a glass of juice and someone could have a glass of wine and they could sit at the same table. And they could play this game, which would kind of dispel any separation between them and begin to build authentic, transparent communication and relationships, which is what it did. So when we opened it up, it was confronting for people because everything on the menu is like an affirmation, which seems kind of, you know, San Francisco kind of tagged us hippy dippy, but I was not a hippie.
Here's a story from day 2 of the restaurant that gives you kind of idea. So the corner where the restaurant was kind of a gangy corner up before we took over the building. It was kind of like a little bit of an edgy neighborhood. Now it's super trendy,
Hip and cool, but we're not there anymore.
And so the police came check it out, and they walked in.
And the menu was written on the wall. Okay, it was self-serve, casual service.
Yeah, and first thing they said is, "What's going?" Like these are the policemen saying, "What's going on in here? This feels different." That's actually they said. And then he went up and to order a cappuccino, he couldn't order a cappuccino. He had to say, "I am loved." Cappuccino was called "I am loved." He goes,
I guess I can't have a cappuccino.
He goes, no one, I don't know if I can say that. And I'm saying, come on, isn't there a nephew
or a niece?
Somebody loves you. And he goes, okay, I am loved. Can I have an I am loved? And we knew, and like the policeman got it. We got, oh, we're on to something here.
And remember, it was okay with us if people resisted. You have to be, if you're going to put something new out in the world, you have to be up for the pushback, right? So we knew people were going to resist it. People would come in and say, you know, they couldn't order green juice. I am healthy or whatever. But when we delivered the juice, we would say back to them, like, you are healthy. So the idea was to begin to kind of break down these negative self-talk conversations that most of us have with ourselves throughout a lifetime, and begin to plant seeds of how extraordinary you are and how blessed you are. And I mean, we still use the affirmations. You know, it starts to get, this is 50 or 15, it starts to get a little diluted. Now it says I am at the top of the menu, and then it just says loved, transformed, blessed, whatever. So it doesn't say every item say I am, but we still deliver the food and we say back to them. And you know, the thing is, it is weird, but it's cool weird. It's weird because we have a culture that is more attached and used to, you know, I'm a mess, I'm shy, I'm inadequate. We think that's normal, and it's weird to be kind and thoughtful and generous, but we're okay. We're okay being weird.
Oh,
that is so awesome.
Sign us up.
I know.
Like weird.
We're weird too.
Yeah.
I just had this.
Are you guys sisters?
No, we're wives.
Oh, wow.
We're married.
Oh, I was gonna say you have the same last name. Got it.
Married and business partners. So yeah,
very good.
We can't get enough of each other. Literally,
Good.
it's good. So I just had this thinking. has Oprah ever visited any of your locations?
Ah, very good question.
Yes, she has.
Okay.
We sat next to her once
Okay,
recently.
so we were in Gracias Madre, West Hollywood, which is our plant-based Mexican, and it's our most beautiful, amazing, gorgeous, biggest restaurant. And we actually went in there with some investors from a health and wellness field, and right next to us was Oprah. And then she actually held up a phone conversation with a friend of ours who she had invested in a business model that he had. And so, yeah, she is a customer.
That's really cool. You're talking about how your customers initially, and maybe even now, although a lot of people are familiar with your menu, but I imagine the first time they walk in, I know we had the same experience. It was like, wow. And for us, it was, how cool is this? Because that's our language and we love to hear more of it. And so being able to actually have a customer experience with that language was really cool. How about when you decided to make this an official business and actually start training employees? What was that like? I mean, you're in the business of gratitude and you're pulling in now.
First thing we did, well, first of all,
we had no rules when we started. No business plan, no rules, no backup.
Yeah, so we
no
just hired,
policy and procedures.
We hired these street gypsies, essentially.
Out of San Francisco.
Some of them living in
tattoos. And they would take their uniform and rip it up, and we were like, I don't know if that's going to work.
But we actually had we all had an all-day training before we even opened our doors on just this. Nothing about the restaurant business, just about. And sure, there was some resistance, but really nobody. If you just take gratitude straight up, and train people in gratitude and just what are you grateful for, and it's really hard to. Even the most resigned and cynical people eventually melt.
They like it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, remember, okay, so most of our attention was put on culture. Most of it was on that. Now, we also there was no almond milk when we started. There was no commercial almond milk. So we also had to explain to every single person how you get milk out of an almond.
Well, there was no cold pressed coffee.
There was no cold pressed coffee. So we had to explain to people, how do you make coffee with cold water?
People didn't know what quinoa was. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there was so much that now is just
kale
normal.
Chips. What are kale chips?
Well, what is kale?
What is kale?
And so in the early days, there was a lot of education. We were just educating people. And we wanted to take people, our experiment was, what happens when we take a group of young people, I mean, in a lot of ways, street kids, and we train them in being grateful? What would happen? Okay, well, 15 years later, what happens?
Actually, it's much cooler. We say, what happens when you train people in being unconditional love and turning them loose in a retail environment? That was the context.
And a lot of stuff happened, some weird stuff, some really great stuff, right? But it has grown. It has grown. It is a success story. So I don't know, we're still in that experiment, because now we're looking at, okay, now what happens? What if we go out of state? What if we go out of country? And what happens when your gratitude's now a thing? And so now people are like, oh, blasé, gratitude, done that. But no, if you're being gratitude, done that, you're not being grateful. But we don't as human beings, we don't like to say we don't know. We don't like to stay in there's more to learn. There's more to expose myself to. We want to get to the I know I got it quicker than anything. And that's
really true.
Not the state that we're talking about.
So now that you've expanded your business of gratitude, tell us about the Be Love Farm.
Be Love Farm is our newest mission, and it's a
retreat center.
Besides being an experimental station in regenerative agriculture, which is a whole nother subject.
Sorry about that.
It's also like, it's a container where people can come and be loved and experience being held by nature, being held by the community here. It takes a community to run a farm. To do it by yourself is not fun. So there's always an active community that works together here. And one of the things we do at Be Love Farm is we always circle up before a meal and share what we're grateful for. Each person goes around and shares what they're grateful for. But yeah, Be Love Farm is just an extension of Cafe Gratitude. It's just a farm community.
Well, and I hear that you have somebody on the farm who's letting you know something else is going on the farm right now.
That's our watchdog.
Well, so we have one final question for you, but I'm going to ask you a last question before the final question.
Okay.
And the last question before the final question is, you mentioned activities, and we're coming up, this is November when this airs, and of course Thanksgiving is right around the corner. So being the masters that you are in transformational gaming, what is one activity that a family could do together this Thanksgiving that would transform them?
Everyone go around and say one thing they're grateful for.
That could be like the blessing at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Or you could take on acknowledging. An acknowledgement in our distinction isn't acknowledging somebody for their blouse or their hair, which those are awesome, or for cleaning their room or making dinner. Those are great. But acknowledgement in our definition is acknowledging people for a way of being, for being kind, for being generous, for being thoughtful, for being, whatever. Acknowledge each other for a way of being, whether there's evidence for it or not. There may be evidence for it, but even if there's not evidence for it, what happens is when you acknowledge it, then it becomes available.
Okay, so gratitude, what you're grateful for, that's the Bachelor of Science level. She just gave you the master level. The PhD level for Thanksgiving is everyone go around and share what they'd love to be forgiven for.
Ooh.
That might be a quieter dinner.
That'd be quieter, but the most profound.
More valuable.
Wow. Inspiring deep personal
PhD,
yeah, I agree. Anyway, but see, the thing is, we'd all love to be able to share those. We just don't feel safe. And so what happens is when you begin to share those, you actually create the safe space. So.
That's beautiful and inspiring.
Here's the postdoc level. Okay, everyone asked the question of the group, what do you need to hear from me to completely restore love to our relationship? What do you need me to apologize for? What do you need me to forgive? What do you need to hear from me to restore love?
And just so you know how that will go, people will say, I don't need anything. And then you'll say, but if you did, what would it be? Because at first what happens is people deflect that because, intimacy is scary for people. And so they just deflect it with either humor or, what drug are you taking or what are you smoking or something, right? They'll say something to deflect it. And it's just stick with it and just say, I know.
Actually,
what
one funny story. We were in Mexico doing sacred commerce for a bunch of scientists.
Department of Agriculture. And
the assignment we gave them before the next day was go home and ask your wives what they want to be acknowledged
what
for.
she wants to be acknowledged.
And they resisted big time, but they did it. And literally 3/4 of the wives said, what have you been drinking?
How much tequila did you have at lunch?
Yeah, no, because it's so outside of their culture. It's outside of our culture, but it was maybe even a bit further outside their culture. And it was hilarious. But no, really, what do you want to be acknowledged for?
And what people could take on in general, besides the holidays, is instead of just saying, hey, how are you, when they meet people, they could actually say, what are you grateful for?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fantastic. Lots of good stuff. So we're wrapping up, and I know we want to honor our time with you. So Sharon's going to ask you our final question.
So we've talked so much about gratitude, and we'd love to know what your own personal definitions are about what gratitude is.
Oh, okay, great.
I don't have a clue.
Okay, great. I would say my personal definition of gratitude is like seeing the blessing, seeing the gift in everything. So even in things that occur as difficult or challenging, like doing the work to actually see the blessing or the gift in that.
Yeah, that sounds just about perfect. No, really, I was trying to improve on that. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, because when we say to people, our job is to be grateful regardless of the circumstances, people don't quite get what that means. And it's like, no, my bike was just stolen. I get it, but you can still be grateful because
What-
gratitude's not dependent upon a circumstantial reality.
So what I want to add to that is when we live in gratitude, we're living at choice, and that frees us from this enslavement of when the circumstances of my life are good, I'm happy. When they aren't good, I'm not happy. That's enslavement. It's all about getting it right out here. That never, ever, ever works. Howard Hughes, Elvis Presley, we go, Judy
Robin
Garland,
Williams.
Robin Williams, have proved us, given us the gift that it isn't in the circumstances. You can have perfect circumstances and be miserable. Life is an inside job. And when you choose gratitude, you're choosing that you live at choice. You're the master of your experience, not the circumstances. So that's real freedom.
Like Nelson Mandela, right? Bad environment, bad situation,
26
bad
years,
circumstances,
political prisoner,
chipping rocks,
for 26 years on a cold, windy island, emerges a gracious person.
taught his jailers to read.
That's freedom.
That's
not
beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Intentional gratitude equals self-empowerment. I love
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Well, we want to make sure that we say to you our intentional gratitude for you being on the summit, and also just really acknowledging the work that you've done. I mean, you have, if you went through and added up how many lives you've changed, you can't even imagine the ripple effect. I'm sure you can, but you can't even think of how many people have come through your businesses and been able to participate in that learning process, which then magnified and radiated out. And, you know, we're in Florida, and your business radiated to us. And I'm sure that there are people in Hong Kong who have experienced the love that you guys intended to share. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you for the encouragement, for the belief in humanity, in spite of what we hear. We really
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
you.
And
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. I mean, I wanted you on. I loved your restaurant, but I know we had no idea how it started and what you've done with your employees and the customers and all the what is behind that as well, and just how you both spoke. Oh my gosh, and what you're doing in the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you guys. Thanks for doing what you do.
All right. And so we will see you again, same channel next time on the Gratitude Summit. Thanks for joining us today.